Hello. Are we live? We should be. How are you guys doing today? We're going to be doing a little bit of art. Unsurprisingly, that we're on the art channel and we're doing art. We're going to do the bring your own music thing again. I'm going to go ahead and link what I'm listening to in chat to everyone who's here live. If you want to search for it, it's a channel called Fantastic Music. The track is called New York Little Line Jazz Hop. I just wanted to look for something that was like kind of the vibe of the music that I want to listen to, and figured that this kind of meets the bill. Something like that anyway. And let me show you what we're working on. We're working on this dude. So, real quick thing that's going to come up within the next couple hours is that for some reason, so I've got two memory cards, you know? I've got one memory card that's 16 gigabytes and the other one's 32. And the 32 gigabyte one, the one that will last just slightly long, well, 16 gigs is long enough to last for the entirety of the battery. Well, almost. It's about like 90% of the battery life. 32 is the, you know, obviously almost double. For some reason, the 32 gig one, I can't... oh, the mic died? Can you not hear me? Oh, never mind. Okay. For some reason, the 32 gig one, I can't remove the stuff off of it. Like, I can take the files off, I can put them on my computer, but I can't erase them. Like, clicking them and hitting the delete button, or dragging them to the trash, or right-clicking the files and clicking delete does not work. I have no idea. I apologize. Still a little bit sick. And as far as what we're working on, I am working on a new piece. This one, Tilda came up with a really good idea that we should do something for each other's parents as a sort of like thank you. And so what I'm working on is this area, this lake that they like to go to. And I figured it would be nice to paint that. Tilda came up with the idea. And so as far as I've gotten is just a couple hours of painting where I got like the ground, the lake, and the sky, and it is very much base level. Like we are not, we're not done. It looks much better on this camera than it does IRL. There's some chunkiness that I don't really care for. But it looks sort of like a sky. So I feel like it's going the right direction. This has gotten a little bit of green in it because of this. I went and bought some Liquitex light green permanent just because I could not get the green right. I need a more vibrant green. And there's certain colors you can't mix directly. And the colors I have... do I still draw digitally? Not too much, just because this channel doesn't really... I don't know, I could do a screen record or whatever. But for the sake of this channel, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so rather than... let me adjust you guys ever so slightly. Get this camera just right. Need to have like a baseline area where it aims. Hi, Herman. He's just staring at me like... We doing something? We are. I'm about to paint for a bit. Someone was asking if I still do commissions as well. Like, they emailed me like 10 days ago or whatever. And I just didn't respond because responding to emails is for people who understand how to be human, which is not me. So rather than do that, I just didn't for a while, and then I finally did. I don't know if I'm doing them right now. Especially with the wedding coming up, I don't really feel like I've got the extra time in my day. Lower background is going to be going to be sky. We're at like lake level, and this is like the horizon line right there. It's a little bit wobbly, especially right through there. And that's fixable, but there's like the other shoreline that hasn't been painted in, and I think that's going to cover up a lot of the weird wonkiness through here. Is that a genuine Wall Street sign or no comment? Iama gave that to me when I went up to New York. And so, yes, it's one of those touristy pieces of crap, but it made sense. Made sense at the time, let's just say. I feel like this green is a little bit too green. It's like very vibrant, but if I mix in a little bit of yellow, I should be able to get the color I'm going for. And once I get this all mixed up, then I'll go ahead and turn the camera on, and then we can get going. Is this going to be right? It's pretty close. It's not the actual Wall Street sign. It's... I don't exactly have that much confidence in my stealing abilities. Not that I've ever stolen anything ever, because I've never done anything illegal. I'll have you remember... Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of start by just getting this going. Let's just see what the pure green looks like. It's fairly close. I think in a couple coats we could probably make this look right. I should probably get the music started. I linked you guys what I was listening to. I'll link it again real quick. There you go. That's what I'm going to be listening to. Feel free to listen to whatever you feel like. I'm hoping that this will be good and not garbage. Half of these are kind of garbage. I like the idea of bring your own music arcade. Analytics-wise, it seems like it does about as good. Maybe a little bit worse, but I don't feel like I've tested it enough to see. If you have a strong opinion one way or another, let me know. I'm fine with actually, like, doing my job and finding music, if that's what people want. But if people don't care, or they'd prefer to just listen to their own jams, that's fine too. The song is very bassy. I haven't been in the mood to write music recently. I just haven't really had time. I'd blame the wedding, but I'm not doing most of the work. I feel like Tilda is. Yeah, I had to cave in and just buy the right color paint. Is that looking good on y'all's screen? That color is really nice. I feel like it's right. I feel like that's about right. And this is just like where the shoreline is. It'll hopefully start coming together here in a minute, but like we're about like 5% done, I would say. So as far as things going on in my life, me and Tilda went to go get our marriage license. In order to get married, you have to get a marriage license. I don't know how this is in other states. Regions, countries, what have you. But in Texas, in the very least, you have to get a license first. And that basically just says that you intend on getting married in the next 90 days. We're getting married next month, so that works out. And we drive up to the place, and the place that they use to do the courthouse stuff here in Austin, I think used to be like a car dealership. So it's got that kind of vibe. It's got enough parking spots for all that. But we went and parked for like, I feel like we had to park for like a few minutes, you know? Like it took us like probably 5-10 minutes to park. Like it was kind of like crazy. So we're thinking there's going to be this huge line. And we walk in, we walk up to the counter, and the guy gives us our little tag, our little ticket to get in line. And that's really the only piece of bureaucracy that we had to deal with the entire time we were there. He gave us a tag for our spot in line, And then the guy immediately calls us. He's like, different guy. And he says, I can get you guys over here. It's like, why even give us the tag? But anyway, we went and did the thing, and so now we just have to get married in the next 90 days. But not in the next 72 hours. It's really weird that they do it like that. The questions on the questionnaire were kind of like... I mean, I guess it's an issue. Like, are you guys related? No. Are you guys married to anyone? Do you have any child support you haven't paid? I mean, legitimate stuff, but yeah. And the guy who did the work for us, who checked us out, was legitimately like one of the nicest interactions I've had with like a state employee like ever. Like, the dude was super nice, but also I think his job is a lot nicer because his desk is just for marriage stuff, I think. So all the people that he's coming in and seeing are like, they actually want to be there, and the line's short because they've got a different section for all those other things like jury duty and stuff like that. Like, it's a different part of the building entirely, so you don't even have to sit in the same room as those people, which is cool because it just means that like you just get called and then immediately you know where to go because it's the only spot in the room to go. So we got that. We went and paid for the cake. So it's all starting to come together. It's all starting to come together now, and it's kind of crazy, but it should be good. Yeah, are you guys married? Not yet. Working on it. Literally why we're here. So I feel like I need to push the shoreline back, and I think the horizon line up, which is annoying, but I need to repaint this horizon, or the water anyway, so I'm kind of okay with that. You guys don't have the reference photo, so you don't know exactly what I'm looking at, but this is definitely too low. Hey JP. How you doing? Sorry, wanted to move the mic out of the way. I don't know if that did anything. I've got like it's sound canceling enough that it feeds back into my like headset to let me know. Like, it's got a separate thing that's its function, just so you can hear what you sound like. Or you just don't sound like you're deaf, which is nice because, you know, you want to make sure you're actually talking out loud rather than in your head, I guess. No, you're totally good, JP. These are the kind of chill streams that, like, I feel like are intended for, like, you need to get some homework done, you need to, like, fall asleep. Take care of yourself time. I'm not recording, am I? Oh, I am. Good. Got scared there for a minute. Had chicken and waffles. It was chicken and pancakes, but that worked out. It was like buffalo sauce, but it was like a kind of sweet buffalo sauce with fried chicken. Was it good for me? No. Was it good? Yes. Let's see. Been streaming a whole lot of Dark Souls 3 over on Artcade and on Twitch, and maybe to the point where I need to give it a couple of days before I come back to it, just to give you guys some time to catch up. I really hate how the audio quality sounded for the first, like, 3 episodes. And just technical issues and all sorts of random issues that happened. I get the same way with stuff, Flock of Murkrows, and that's kind of why I started this channel as well. Is because it's kind of the opposite, I guess, is that, like, I have to make videos, so I have to be in the mood to art. Alright, so I feel like this jazz needs to be right up here. I mean, marriage is definitely not for everyone. Um, you know, a lot of people say like you'll find the right person for you, whatever. But like for some people, the right person for them is no one. They just need to be by themselves. Like they don't. It's not that they don't deserve someone. It's just that's not what they want to do with their lives. For me, I don't know. It makes me happy. I understand that, but also I feel like pushing people not to get married as well as pushing people to get married is harmful because it doesn't really let the whole range of emotions of human beings work out. If you're not the type where you can like have an intimate relationship, like you can have a relationship, or you just don't feel like having one, then, you know, maybe don't. I've got a friend who like is completely against marriages, and he's a weirdo. He's a super weird dude. I invited him to the wedding, and he was like, "No, I'm not going. I'm not for that kind of thing, man." Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Zergish? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I feel like a lot of the marriage planning from my end is just working the money together. Tilda's doing a lot of like the actual like moving the pieces into position. For me, I've just been kind of constantly working for the past like year to kind of catch up. I'm taking a little bit of time off here and there. And that's kind of nice. It's been nice to actually follow the advice in my burnout video rather than just continue to push myself indefinitely like I can actually do that and not die. I don't feel like this is quite the right green. I feel like it needs to be a little bit yellow. And don't get me wrong, I get where my friend is coming from, but like he also, in the same way that like I hear people force people to be like, oh, well, you'll change your mind when you get older. When it comes to like getting married, it's like, no, that dude is not, I don't know. That dude's got a lot of problems though, so maybe that's his deal. In fact, I know that's his deal. I didn't actually talk to him and sit and talk about why marriage is a sham or whatever he wanted to talk about. I think that's a weird response to being like, two people are about to be happy and I'm friends with one of them. But, you know, what are you going to do? You know? If he doesn't want to come, it's more or less just like, I don't know, you invite people to like your birthday party. You invite people to like your wedding. It's just a polite thing to do, you know? If he thinks it's a scam or if he thinks it's a bad deal, that's cool. He shouldn't get married then. You know? Yeah, like, if you find the right person, cool. If you don't, then cool. You know? The important part is not using, like, the need for someone else to be complete. You know? Like, having someone else doesn't make you complete. Like, it's like a pair of socks. Like, you're a whole thing in of yourself. It's just, maybe you do better with someone else. Maybe you need to find that pair. Or, you know, I don't know, maybe you're into, like, there's relationships where there's multiple people. I've got a friend who's in one of those, and it's just, I don't know, it's weird. I'm not gonna lie, I'm old school about stuff, and when I say old school, I mean traditionalist, and when I say traditionalist, I mean, like, whatever America has decided recently about that. And I realize that's my own hang-up. But then again, everyone involved in that relationship's happy. So I guess it's all right. It just feels weird to me, because I don't know. That's not how I was raised. That's really where it is. So that's not how I was raised. So that's not really something I have a reference point to. I don't know. As long as everyone's happy and everyone's an adult, I think it should be fine. whatever marriage situation you want to do. I feel like that's a little bit closer to the yellow I need. I like your t-shirt. I need some more layers. Tilda picked out this shirt. She's got a better eye for that kind of thing than I do. Fashion, clothes, all that kind of jazz. She makes clothes. She knows what looks good on me. I don't trust her all the time, but when I actually like let her like pick stuff out at the store and like go, well, just try it on for a minute. I'm like, you know what? Actually, that does look really good on me. Otherwise, I just wear black all the time because, like, I don't know, I'm lazy and I like the way white looks, but like you also have to like keep it clean, and that's really hard. And I'm a gremlin, so I just spill stuff on myself all the time. Yeah, same thing with children. Like if children aren't in your cards, like I mean, children are a huge investment of time and energy and all of that jazz. And if you're not ready for that, if you don't want to do that, then don't. Like, I don't know how to explain that any better, but like, some people shouldn't be parents, you know? If, and that doesn't mean that they're bad people, necessarily. It just means that they shouldn't have, like, kids, you know? Like, if you'd rather focus on yourself and your own time and your own efforts and your own thing, and, like, you want to do that over kids, like, having kids, like, don't mistreat kids by just having them because that's a thing you're supposed to do. I've gone over this like a billion times. If you feel like there's a lot of check boxes that you're expected to check off to be human, to be an adult, what have you, and one of them's getting married, one of them's having kids, you know, that's not for everyone. And if that's not for you, then don't do that. I know that feeling, hamster. I mean, I think that's just anxiety speaking. Unless if your family has some sort of, like, thing, I think you'll probably be fine. Alright, so I need to, like, scooch this up. And that means just, like, reestablishing where this line is. Like, if you don't want kids, you shouldn't have kids. Just as simple as that. You know? Because there's just, I don't know, I've talked about this I don't know how many times on stream, but like, there's limited resources in the universe. And if you don't want kids, and you have kids, then you're not giving kids the right life that they really deserve. You're not giving yourself the life you deserve. And you're using up resources that you don't really wanna. If you're not gonna take care of your kids right, then don't have them. You know? I don't feel like you should have to have kids. I don't think we're at a point where we need to have more people on this earth anymore. Like, you know, we need to, like, replenish the numbers we got, sure, but, like, that's about it. I would believe that, honestly, which, that sounds right. Because it is such a thing. Like, you gotta have kids. It's like, why? Especially with, like, the economy the way it is right now, and has been for the last little bit. It's scary to have kids, you know? You don't know if you're going to be able to provide for them. I feel like that's more than just the normal worry that people from previous generations had to worry about. And it's entirely possible that you will change your mind, but, like, that doesn't mean that... I don't know. I always think that's a stupid argument. It's like, well, maybe I will, but right now that's not what I'm feeling, so it doesn't really matter. Like, what's the point of saying that? I told you so? I told you so's don't... That doesn't do anything for the person you're telling so. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like I watched a very similar video a little while back. When I was still in school, one of the last classes I took was like, I don't know, something about taking care of the environment. And the guy was giving us guff for having iPhones and not going outside and stuff. And I'm like, dude, it is 120 degrees outside today. I don't know what that is in European, but... you die? Like, a human being is like 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Like... You will die if you go outside? Just saying? Like, and also, I am expected to have a smartphone nowadays. Like, what kind of job can you get without a smartphone? It's a requirement of my job to have this app on my phone. To just let people know, like, hey, such and such is in the stock room if you need it. Or you can message people and be like, it's like 35 degrees centigrade. Okay. I don't know what it is today. It's fairly chilly out today. As far as Texan weather is concerned, I don't think it's actually cold, but like as far as like a Texan would be concerned, it's pretty cold out. Okay. I don't know. I don't like that mentality there. I don't like the mentality that you got to give up everything that makes you you in order to check off a box. But it's a little bit darker right here. I really should write more music for Artcade. It's just one of those things that I always forget to do. Making the videos is really high up on that list. Maybe I should just hire someone to do it. It'd have to be someone I trust. Because, like, I don't want to... I don't know, I don't want to... This channel is really special to me, specifically. And I'm doing a lot of work that's a little bit excessive. Literally just to make it so that way, when I get a claim, when I get a notice, when I get any sort of message from YouTube being like, hey, you're doing something shady, you're doing something you're not supposed to, here's some weird metrics, it's like, no, you're wrong. Like, I can whole cloth say, whenever YouTube says that I'm doing something wrong, that they're wrong. And it's about trying to get my art out there and to people. It's about learning the system. It's about doing everything the right way, and hopefully, in the end, making something that I enjoy making. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm slowly moving away from treating YouTube as something that I have to do, and is more something that is a commercial for what I actually do. Alright. What's weird is that this is somewhere between like 80 and 5% done. Like somewhere between the, yeah, like 5 and 80% done. Not entirely sure. YouTube's algorithms are really bad, and that's part of the reason I'm being so paranoid and being so hardcore about stuff. Is it's just like, no. Like, if YouTube says that something went wrong, that's on them. They did something wrong that they weren't supposed to be doing. Alright, so where do we got some clouds? We got a cloud right here. This will start coming together a bit once I start adding these. So what I'm doing right now is I kind of spoke about this in the one tutorial video that I made. That's something I need to correct at some point. But in order to do clouds effectively, the way I like to do them is I take the highlight of them and then I stretch them out from there, like once the brush starts going dry. And what ends up happening is that it's got that foggy look that clouds get. It's been a while since I've done this strategy, so you'll have to excuse me if it looks a little funky at first. And I'm still not totally sold on the sky. I may need to like completely redo it. Make sure you don't accidentally say the C word, and that's not the word that I was referring to last time, cucumber, but actually another word. That means a secret hidden agenda. That word is one of those words that you're not supposed to say anymore now. It's honestly good that they're curbing that kind of content, but as with any change in YouTube, it has created a great deal of random friendly fire and nonsense damage to people who are not the problem people. Like, I mean, generally speaking, anytime anything happens, anytime YouTube has any sort of algorithm change, it affects. I like to listen to channels that, like Mr. Creepypasta and stuff like that, where it's like horror channels, and that's not advertiser friendly, you know? I mean, that's not the point. You don't watch a horror movie where everything turns out super clean and nice for everyone in the end. No, you want to get freaked out, you want to get a little scared, and you want things to go badly for people because there's some weird, I don't know. It's interesting like that, you know? And I like those kind of stories. I like listening to horror. But how many stories, and I'm going to say the word, conspiracy, how many horror stories involve a conspiracy? Like, that's just a whole subgenre there, you know? If this channel was monetized, I've just been demonetized. No, well, they said they aren't demonetizing those channels. They're just making it so that way it doesn't pop up and recommended, which is good because it means that, like, I don't know, really harmful stuff like You know, it got sort of started more or less because someone pointed out that if you search, should I vaccinate my children? Some weird stuff would pop up, like within 2 or 3 searches, that would be like anti-vax stuff. And there's no legitimate science behind not vaccinating your children. So it's like, just vaccinate your children. Yes. Speak to your doctor about why you should make sure your child doesn't die. Apparently every Deus Ex video got demonetized. Honestly, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that. And that's sort of the deal, is there's friendly fire anytime that YouTube changes stuff. And YouTube isn't super clear about when they're doing stuff. As of this year, they've been a little bit better about communicating stuff, and I've noticed that, and I'm appreciating it. But they still haven't quite caught up to the level that is really required of them to be like top dog. Although they are top dog in a market where they don't have to care, which is really where it comes from, is that they don't have competition aside from Twitch, and I think that's starting to hurt them, and I think they're starting to realize that now. And how's this looking? Movie, okay. When did that stop? It's coming along. I'm still not quite, I mean, just like, I don't know. It's dumb. It's really dumb. Like, I hate making, like, political statements, but I guess it's political now to say that it's dumb that people think it's okay to not vaccinate their children against things that are super bad. Like, polio sucks. Polio sucks really hard. Vaccinate your children. Like, the false dilemma is that they might get autism, I guess? And that's, like, not even, like, I mean, even if that was the truth, like, oh no, your child lives a different life, at least he lives? Like, just take care of your children? I should start thinking about what I'm going to talk about this week. I think last time I kind of briefly brought it up, but the person doing our marriage ceremony asked me what I do for a living, and so I said art because that's easier to explain than streaming. Because she's a little bit of an older woman, and I didn't want to just like blindside her with like, oh, I play video games and people watch me for some reason. And why that even could be a thing. Like, that's mind-boggling for people. It's starting to get less so, but even still, you know, we live in a different generational gap there, and a different cultural gap, like a subculture that makes sense. But anyway. She said, oh, well, I've got a friend who's an artist here in town. You know, I'll give you her phone number and y'all should talk. And so I emailed back and forth with her a little bit. And I'm like, listen, I need to know how to do art in Meat Space. Like, I can sell art online, but I'd really like to sell art IRL. Like, rather than just to you know, people online. Because that's cool and all, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be able to quite explain why I feel scuzzy selling to you guys sometimes when it comes to art. I feel like some people buy commissions or buy art from me because they want, they want essentially an autograph. And it's like, literally just send me a piece of paper, I'll sign my initials or whatever onto it, and that's fine. I don't want people to be spending several $100s on art from me because they just wanted an autograph. Because I give those out for free at TMG, you know? That's ridiculous to me. And maybe it's imposter syndrome. I don't know. But it'd make me feel good if I could sell art in Meat Space as well. Like I'm doing something, and I don't know. Like I'm really living up to the whole artist dream by selling online and in Meat Space, and you know, all of these different ways. I feel like that would be the way to do it. It's a weird parasocial sort of relationship that happens. You bought yours because you like the painting. And that's why I'm saying maybe this is just a bit of imposter syndrome creeping in. That, like, the only reason that people would like my art is because of my streams. You know what I mean? Like, that totally seems like something that I would think. And a way I could justify that to myself. So, and it's an insult to anyone who buys my art to say that there's only that reason. You know? Because there are people who can discern and like things for reasons outside of that. These clouds are not coming together quite the way I'd like. They look alright right now, at least on the camera capture, but not quite the way I want them to in Flesh and Blood. Oh, I don't even take free art beggars anymore. Like, if you message me about art, I mean, it's one of the luxuries that I have by having you guys know who I am, is when someone messages me and they're like, hey, you know, do free art for me, I'm like, I mean, and I guess this is an excuse that anyone could use, but like, literally you're messaging me because you know of me, and I have not met or heard of you before now? Like, what exposure can you give me? Like, can you quantify that? Can you give me a business proposal of exactly how this is going to work out for me? Because, like, if you can't, then I don't see a reason that I should accept this deal. This is a, you know, this is a transaction of skill. And if you don't have that skill, if you don't have that metric right now, I know you believe in your project. I know you think that it's going to do great and that you're going to have 1 billion sales and you're going to be the next Bill Gates from whatever you're getting me to do art logos for. I mean, people who beg for art, like, I feel like that's like such a... It's a tier of art that I just don't even accept. Like, if you're gonna beg me for art, like, get ready to pay. You know, like, I'm sorry. And if you don't want to pay, then you don't get art. I'm sorry, art is a luxury that you can't afford. And my art is good. I trust in the way that I do my art, and I trust my skill, and I have enough self-respect, and I'm not just gonna, like, have someone insult me into lowering my prices. Well, thank you, Buntime. I need to update the website, but it's just been crummy out recently. I should really do that, like, tomorrow or something. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. I need to spend a little bit of tomorrow filming and recording this week's video. I suppose I could talk about, and I think it's one thing I'm gonna talk about probably when this painting comes out. I'll probably relay some of the information that she gave me. I have not tested or tried it, but it all makes sense to me. But I think I got a subject matter for this week's video in mind. I just don't really like how this works. Check the SEO for it and see how it goes. Yeah, if you're not even willing to pay the person to set up your website right, like, if you have no reach, if you have no exposure, and besides, honestly, let's say like Coca-Cola came up to me and it's like, hey, you know, we'll pay you an exposure, I'd still be like, dude, you got money. Because either you don't have money, in which case you probably don't have the reach that you think you do, or you do have money, in which case you have the money to pay me. There's no logical in-between there, you know? Like, I realize you could be, like, halfway between those points, I guess, but, like, let's be real, like, you're still not, you still don't have enough money or enough reach to be able to, like, actually give me the exposure I need in order to make sales. And if I take that deal, then other people are going to think that I will take that deal. And that's dumb. Those clouds are clean. I'm not liking them right now, I'll be honest with you. Like, IRL, they look real, like, sloppy. There's gonna be, like, a tree branch right around here. I also feel like people on the internet, especially younger artists, undercharge for their work, but I think that's a different issue. I see a lot of people who are doing like dollar commissions or whatever, and I'm like, dude, you can't be doing that. That may be sustainable for you because you live with your parents or whatever, but that's what people expect art to cost now. And yeah, that's what the art market might pay for your work, but maybe your work's just not there yet then, you know? But I feel like I'm blaming people who just don't know any better. How do you do clouds? Literally just like what I do is I'll paint like the top ridge line of the cloud. So like there's a little bit of a highlight here. And then as the brush dries out, less paint is put on the canvas. And so it gets a little bit floofy. Whereas the edges will still get that edge highlight that you need. It's a little bit cheaty, but art is figuring about how you can do those little cheats and make things look good. I think it's a traditional media thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it with digital. There might be a way of emulating it. I don't know. Hand knit stuff, well, I mean, listen, I don't know how much time knitting takes till the crochets, so I know how long that takes. I know they're fairly similar as far as like the level of expertise you need to have in order to be good at it, and how little people understand that that's a thing, and how much time it takes to do those things. But legitimately, it is very hard to be someone who knits or crochets and does that for a living. Like, that's if you're an indie little like startup, if you're not like, you know, some company that can pay someone below minimum wage to do a job. Like, handmade clothing should cost more because it's handmade, you know? It's not big box, mass-produced crap. It's, you know, it's a different skill set. It's a different thing. You're not buying just like, you don't buy like 100 handmade sweaters. You buy one really nice one, and then that's your sweater. And yeah, it costs a little bit more, but you do have a nice hand-knit sweater, or whatever, and you just, I don't know. I mean, like, if people pay you what they think that you're worth, you would never get money. That's an awful way of doing your business, because people would absolutely abuse that. Because we were just talking about people who were trying to, like, pay nothing. And the problem is, people don't know how much things cost, you know? Like, just the basic numbers of running a business. Like, you want to be able to, like, recoup what it costs you to make things, right? Like, how much does a tube of paint cost? Like, $5 or $6. And I use up half a tube in a painting, let's say. So that means that a painting should, if it's just one color to cover the canvas, should be at least $3 plus my time, and I'm not working for minimum wage because I'm not a scrub, and because you shouldn't do skilled labor at minimum wage. Like, minimum wage in of itself is a scam. It's, I would pay you less, but it's illegal for me to do so. And so you shouldn't do that to yourself because you don't have to. And so it's just like, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're paying yourself a living wage and to recoup your costs, like, it's going to cost a decent amount. And, you know, inevitably you'll get someone who can go, you know what, I can just do it myself. And to that, especially when it comes to crafty stuff like knitting and crocheting, I've heard enough horror stories about that to kind of know the vibe. And it's very similar to the art, you know, free art vibe, where it's just like, okay. And then they don't, because learning that skill set is way more difficult than you think. You're not paying for 5 hours of work. You're paying for 5 years or whatever of learning a skill to be able to do something correctly in 5 hours, plus the tools that it costs to make it. You're paying for a thing, you know? I feel like there's 5 different songs going on in this song right now that I'm listening to. Like, everyone has, like, started up playing their instrument, and they're playing different songs, and no one's noticed that they're not playing the same song anymore. I didn't spread this white paint here enough, so I'm gonna have to, like, make this area a little bit chunkier. And I might have to spread in some blue just to, like, lighten things up a bit. I feel like it looks better on the capture than it does in real life. But we'll make it work. I feel like I'm out of practice, too. I keep running into this. DA points massively. Yeah. I never got into that just because I didn't understand it. I had a DeviantArt, and I feel like that's something that I should do at some point, is go revisit my old art on DeviantArt and see how bad and cringy it is. Because look, I'm not okay with, like, making fun of children, but making fun of myself as a child, that guy was a dork, you know? Like, I can say that and I can make fun of that guy, because I know that guy, and he turned out alright. I used to make fun of him all the time, but, you know, and still do. But, you know, that's just depression. I mean, like, listen, like, that's more or less how it works. If people are willing to pay some dude, like, $1,000 for not safe for work furry art, then that dude's living the dream, I guess. He's making his money. He's making his dosh. I've got some friends who do that kind of stuff for a living. It's like, you know what? Say what you want about them, but they're artists who are, you know, doing art and making a living. Like, isn't that neat? I mean, you get into like the nitty gritty and you're like, ooh, but whatever, makes them happy. It's their cup of tea. Ain't mine, but not gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe you make that kind of stuff. It's not my thing, you know? It really isn't. I think the pricing of art episode needs to come out at some point, but I need to figure out how to explain that number, how to explain that in a metric that is universal, rather than wishy-washy and iffy like I just did. I don't know, maybe what I just said made a lot of sense, and maybe what I just said is like sufficient for like pricing work. I mean, artists undercutting other artists is unnecessary. If you see other artists as competition, you're doing it wrong. Because if they're your competition, your art isn't diverse enough. Like, you need to be doing something different. Like, the whole point of art is self-expression to some degree. Whatever your definition of what you think you should be doing. Really, I think the point of art is more along the lines of highlighting what you find important. And I feel like that's been the case with how art works since the very beginning. Propaganda, religion, this nice lake that I want to paint. This is what, you know, the artist thought was important. Looks like it was kind of overcast this day when the picture was taken. This is starting to come along. That's coming along. It looks a little bit better. Keep thinking about that guy at the Tux place. I don't know if he's told you about him, but he was wild, man. Like, he cussed more than me, which is crazy. Because I didn't think I'd ever meet anyone who had more of a foul mouth than me when they were trying to be professional. But dude cussed up a storm. But anyway, he gave me some guff about my posture when he was trying to fit me. And he's like, do you normally do this when you're painting? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah! And I also do a lot of work on the computer. Again, not explaining that I do streaming because I don't really feel like explaining that. Um, over detailing your work is, I don't know. It's hard to know exactly when you should stop. Like, where is that point where it's done? There's some artists who like go back in. I think it was, I want to say it was Picasso, who would go into the museum and take the things off the wall and take them home. It would freak out the museum. Then he'd bring it back and he'd have done something. That's beautiful in the capture. Too bad it doesn't look like that in real life. You can see some of the weave here. I should probably stand up to do work, but I don't know. Simultaneously. I'm also going to be standing up for like several hours. And I like having my reference material. I think I've talked about it before, like the university that I went to where I actually got my art degree. Like I can go back there. I can use their studio space assuming they don't have a class going. And that's nice. It smelled of toxic fumes and always had some neurotic kid or something in there trying to do his work. Yeah, inevitably anytime I post a video, I notice that same thing where it's like, geez, like last week's, or last time's Six Skull is what I've been calling it internally. Like I noticed a whole bunch of issues with it, and it's like, well, that's already out. Like there's a highlight on it that doesn't make any sense, and it really pisses me off. There's nothing that can be done there. I feel like it's not necessary to get an art degree. I went through the trouble of getting mine, and for a lot of reasons I feel like that I needed to, but I don't think you actually need to. I talked about this on a video, and I still believe that video, that like you need to figure out what is what you need as far as like your journey. And whether or not the instruction from another person is going to be what puts you over the top. And a lot of it, again, I feel like is like understanding the amount of pressure and amount of effort you need to put into putting art out. I'm actually taking it fairly easy with this channel as far as like the workload goes. But it's because like, I don't know. I think you need like a master's nowadays in order to teach, but it depends on at what level you're teaching. I've tried to get a job teaching at like, I don't know, kindergartens or whatever. I'm glad that I didn't get the job because I think I would have hated that. Like I think that would have just been annoying because if you're like 5, you have no concept of like art. You're just like, I drew this because I like cats, and it's like that's really solid, kid, thanks. And that's valid, you could do that, but not that teenagers or even college students are any better. I don't know how many like little like, so when you're in college you have to give like presentations on your art and what you're doing and who you are as an artist and explain yourself. I don't know how many times I had someone go, I grew up watching Disney. And it's like, wow, kid, that's great. So did everyone else in this room. What makes you special about that? Like what? Like, And they never do anything interesting with it. I'm just throwing out shade left, right, and center, but Disney people are just weeaboos without the stigma. Hi, Herman. Get out of the sink. Give me a sec. Get out of the sink. Why is your butt all wet? What have you been doing? Get out of there. Have you been lying? Why, though? You're weird. Anyway, let me get my capture back. Wow, that actually looks really, really clean on the capture. God, I wish it looked like that IRL. Maybe it does, and I'm just like, I don't know. Skelecorgi told me to say hello and that Herman is adorable. I agree, and tell her hello. Right here, I need a little bit more green. I'm gonna be messing around with the skyline for a minute, so I got some time that I could spend repainting that green. And it'd have enough time to dry so we can redo the lake water. It looks amazing on the capture. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't look like that IRL, but you guys don't need any better, so I look super smart and like I know what I'm doing, so I'm kind of okay with that. I just wish it... I mean, this is supposed to be a gift, so maybe we make sure that it looks right in person, too. You're being your own worst enemy. Looking at the capture, you guys have no idea what the difference is. I think it's because of the resolution difference. That real life has like a much better resolution than, I don't know, 720p. And so it looks a little bit different IRL. Not considerably, but it's just like, so there's a weave to the canvas, right? Because that's how canvases work. They're made out of canvas, surprisingly. And you can see the stitch markers through here, or the stitch lines through that cloud. And then right here on the water line. But I haven't really touched that, so if that looks funky, I don't really care at this point. I mean, like, even on like my little camera capture, it looks great too. What resolution do you have on all in Texas? Pretty good, like 360p. You know, basically like you have considerable eye damage. Alright, so I need to figure out what's going on with that background texture. And I think what I'm going to do is, for this mountain line, I'm going to take some burnt umber, and I'm going to mix a little bit of blue with it. And I'm going to mix more blue than burnt umber. And I might throw a bit of Mars black in there. And a little bit of yellow. It's kind of a weird hodgepodge of colors, but it's so far off in the different distance that it needs to be more blue than green or what have you. So I can just do like a drop of yellow, and that'll be sufficient to... There it is. Pop. Mix up these colors. Could probably turn off the camera for a minute. Also, I should probably... I was thinking about it. I should probably be, like, thanking my Patreon subs at the end of, started streaming 69 minutes ago. Nice. That means that we're almost out of battery, too. Which is good. I should probably get up and walk around and walk away from it for a minute. That is a nice random restriction that, doing this gives me. Alright, so I need to find a nice clean brush that I can use for this. This one will work. And I need to just like set a baseline. Over here it's a little bit like this side is grayer. Like the water is grayer. Over here it's much more vivid. And you can kind of see what's going on in the distance. I don't believe in talent. I think talent is just something you've cultivated. You know? I feel like in the same way that luck is, you know? Luck is preparation meeting opportunity. I forgot who said that, but that's something I believe wholeheartedly. You can have preparation. You can be prepared for something good to happen, but just never have it happen. And you can be the best at what you do, but just never have the opportunity, or never put out the opportunity. Or maybe you have more opportunity than promise, but you still have some promise, so you make it. Doesn't mean that you're bad, it just means it worked out for you. So when I say, like, someone's lucky, when someone, like, got lucky and that's why they got what they got, like, that's what I mean, is that, like, God... The things that needed to happen happened for them in order for them to get what they needed. And I think that's cool most of the time. Sometimes more so than others. I'm gonna have to come over this with like a little bit of a green highlight as well on top, because there's some like trees or whatever. Yeah, people who say artists are born with a gift, if you believe, I guess that makes sense. If you believe that artists are born with some sort of innate gift and are just being greedy with it, then I could see how you would think that it's okay to harass people for free art. Oh, crap. Hey! Hey, 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 hey. Hold on. Life with a cat. He's playing on your desk.
Rude.
Yeah. Thank you. I think Herman just wanted to see Tilda. He does that sometimes. He'll start acting up when a door's shut. I need to add more white over here. I really want to do this side just so I have a line connecting it, but... Herman's a good boy most of the time. Except for when he's not. I think I'm going to run out of battery here in just a moment. Can you confirm something for me? People are just saying I'm being my own worst critic. This looks okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
That looks better, right?
It's brighter.
But that looks different than this one, right?
Yeah.
It's not just me being like hard on myself, like that actually does look different there.
It does look different.
Okay. Like, it looked amazing on the capture. I'll give them that. But
I mean, everything's there.
yeah, it just looks different.
I think it's because it's a brighter light.
Yeah, I kind of cranked the brightness a little bit, and that might be it. Well, thank you. It's coming along either way. So that's Tilda saying that she agrees. Why did it suddenly turn into Nightcore? What? What? But really, no, like 37 minutes into this track here. Listen to 37 minutes into this track. It's been like chill, like coffee hop kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere it goes to like Nightcore-ish jazz hop. Super jarring. Because I was having a good time, I was jamming out to it, and then suddenly I'm just... I guess we're doing this now. The delay doesn't, I don't think, matter as much when it's arcade streams. I guess I should be more worried about it than I am, but if you're not seeing things one-to-one, I don't think it matters. Nightcore has never been my thing. I think it's like creatively dishonest in a lot of ways. It's like, I made this, except for the part where I didn't. But I feel like I'm also just being an old man about things. But no, that was a thing that came out when I was a kid, so maybe not. I might be being an old man about this. I've been wanting to learn how to play jazz as well. I think that would be good. I feel like that would make my life a lot easier if I could just play guitar and play some jazz and then mess with it a bit. Ooh, that was almost bad. Lost control of it for a sec. What do you think about when people are chipmunkifying a song? I mean, like, Alvin and the Chipmunks were just Nightcore. Like, early 1950s Nightcore. Let's be real. Just like the Gorillas are just Vocaloids. I'm right. What's up? Yeah, I know. I know. This track is just all over the place now. I don't even know what's going on now. I don't think it's good, but it's happening either way. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, exactly. Why are you booing me? I'm right. Oh. Are we out of film space? Card full. Alright, well, I guess we're done now. Because my other card, I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how to clear off the information from, for some reason. And that means that I'm about to run out of battery, too. I feel like I made some progress here. I got the clouds in. The grass isn't quite right yet, but I'm moving in the right direction. It's coming along. Here, give me 1 sec. Let's switch it over to the BRB. I forgot it just does it on the original one. On OBS Classic. Thank you guys for dropping by. Thank you guys for coming out. There's the Patreon link if you wanted to click on it and throw me a couple bucks. Being the credits being the thing, so that way I can be like, hey, you're cool. Let's give it a shot. Let's just throw out like me saying that the people who I'm supposed to do it at the end of some like the edited videos. But let's go and thank them right now anyway. The people who are at the $5 or more tier, who have been charged. Let's get that. So excuse me for just kind of talking. Can you attach a portable drive to the camera? I don't know how. I think I can. I just don't know how. The other problem is that hooking up the battery doesn't really work because the battery, the spot for where the battery goes is at the bottom of the thing. And so is where the stand is, so that kind of gets in the way. I don't know, but anyway, thanking the people who have, and if you've donated to me on Patreon, I know there's at least one new person on Patreon this month. I just go after whoever has paid as of last month, and that way we're all solid. Because there are people who try and scam, and you know there are issues that come up, and I don't want people to feel awkward. I don't want it to be weird. Anyway, thank you Wapfu, thank you Tilda, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you Theodore Corbier, thank you Spencer Kane, thank you Plex. Your name is always so short, and it's one of the reasons that I'm like, that's way too short. Because when I just go thank you at the end of the video and then your name, I don't know. I feel like people like Plex get screwed out of a proper thank you. Thank you, Flinixia Theoran. Thank you, Lost Nevada. Thank you, James at Games. Thank you, Guyzan. Thank you, Duxu. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Amber. That's the people who are at the $5 or more tier. I think I might have left out some $10 tier people. Thank you, Bubba Fair. Thank you, Maliciousness. And thank you, Micah. You guys were at the $10 tier. And it didn't show up because I didn't set up the Patreon thing to show me that too. Anyway, thank you guys. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome for coming on by. I will have a video as of Sunday that you guys can watch, and it will be about something, and it will be edited, and it will be good, and you can watch it. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.